Hey there, my name is Cole Adams, and you are watching the best college basketball podcast out there that covers the entire sport of college basketball, brackets, bubbles, and bid stealers. Now, here are your hosts, Sam Fetterman and Jonathan Lidskin.
Season 6, episode 97 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bid Stealers. I am Jonathan Lidskin. Sam Fetterman is with me as always, and Quentin Corpuel joins us tonight. This is Quentin's second straight year joining us for the Bracket Bible Show, and it's the second Bracket Bible Show ever. So, Quentin, honored to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me back. I'm glad I made the field 2 years in a row. That's tough to do in this day and age.
Yeah, it really is. NIL is becoming a huge factor. Got to keep up resource-wise.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
I feel like I'm just getting crapped on here.
This is what happens with me during the DeRosa shows. So this is happening to you.
That's a good point.
So yeah, we got bracket.
Wait. If DeRosa's the bubble of the year, does that make Quentin the Bible of the year?
He could be the Bible of the year.
I'm the Torah of the year. I don't qualify.
Yeah, I was going to say Torah of the year is probably more appropriate. But maybe he can be the bracket.
We're off to a flying start.
Maybe this might be a DeRosa's first real challenger for like bubble of the year.
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe bracket of the year better suits him. So
I mean, I was the bid stealer, right? You were the bracket, right?
I don't know what I was.
I think that's what DeRosa said.
So anyway, speaking of brackets, I got some rules in front of me. Sam, do you remember why I created this? Like the inspiration behind it?
The Bill Simmons playoff manifesto.
Yeah, it was the Bill Simmons playoff gambling manifesto. And this is not a gambling, project that I created here. It is simply a guide to picking the NCAA tournament bracket, as it says in the title. And I'm not sitting here, and I never do, and pretend like I have the answers. It's not an exact science.
We did do that in 2023, and we regret it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we've learned from our mistakes, and we weren't doing this show back then, so it doesn't count in my book. We got 19 rules here. This is not an exact science. It's simply 19 things that I think have helped me pick a bracket in the past. They're good reminders. They serve a good purpose, in my opinion, to like keep you in check, and so you don't go, rogue one way or another when you're doing this. And so, if you guys are ready, I'll get this started here with rule number 1. So,
of course, I'm always ready.
I have a couple in here that are personal favorites of mine. This one was the easiest one to kind of create when I was starting this, because this was something that I had thought long before this was even a thought to create. And it's take conference tournament week with a grain of salt. Past examples include 2021 Texas, 2022 Iowa, 2021 Ohio State, 2024 Wisconsin. We do have a rule 1A in this, and that is, bid stealers are an exception to this rule. And we only, really have 2 bid stealers this year, and I don't think anyone's completely overreacting, to them. So, we don't really need to go over that. But for this year in specific, Sam and Quentin, I have a couple written down. I have Vanderbilt, I have Purdue, and I have Wisconsin written down for this year. Sam, you can start.
This is just Purdue. Like, obviously Vanderbilt's in here too, but like I think they're actually might be really, really good with Duke Miles. And that's more of a different story. But to me, this is about Purdue. I knew what I thought Purdue was a week ago, and I know what I think Purdue is now. I don't think they're good at defense. Their struggles at home were something that we have not seen out of that program. And I'm concerned, frankly. Jonathan, go ahead. Quentin, go ahead.
Yeah, I also had Purdue written down for this one. I think entering the Big Ten tournament, they had lost 4 of 6 games to end the regular season. Their defense, as you said, Sam, is not great. And they had some really strange losses this year. And I'm sure we'll talk about UConn at some point in this episode, but that's also something I'm thinking about when looking at UConn, is just the fact that both teams have had really weird losses. and I don't really like that entering March. And so Vanderbilt and Wisconsin, I think are going to be just fine. But the one I had tapped down here was Purdue.
In the final 3 weeks before the Big Ten tournament, Purdue was 26th in Torvik, 2-4 over that stretch, like Quentin said. And interestingly enough, ranked below both Miami and Missouri, who they will see one of the two in the second round.
Hey,
that's one.
They've got to get past Queens first.
They do have to get past our guy Grant Leonard and his team.
Go back, listen to our interview with Grant Leonard from last week.
Wisconsin, I put down here, like they have good guard play. They didn't, make a run to the championship, but they were impressive. They beat Illinois in overtime, and then they pushed Michigan. Like, I don't really feel that this totally applies.
I think they're good. I just think they're good at basketball.
They have taken some weird losses this year, though. Well, but I've also beaten some really, really elite teams. So
that's what does it for me. They beat a lot of really good teams on the road too. Like they have some of the best wins in college basketball, and it wasn't just the Big Ten tournament.
So yeah, if you're a Wisconsin believer, I think there was nothing to definitive to overreact to. You just hope that they go out there, they win the shootout that the game against High Point inevitably turns into. High Point does not defend. Again, they're better than they were last year, but still not a good defense. And then you hope they can go out and play the way they've played against elite teams this year in that Arkansas game.
Yep.
So moving on to rule number 2 here. Pay attention to path. This is another pretty simple one, explanation wise. Take a look who is tough road to get to the championship, whose matchups are tough. I have a couple written down here. So the East region, I think, has been kind of crowned as like the tough region in this year's NCAA tournament. You got all those coaches, all those brands in there together to meet in Washington, D.C. for the regional. The one thing I wrote down about this region, I think Michigan State has the easiest draw of the top 4 seeds here because they, at worst, get to play a Louisville team who has not fared super well against good competition this year. They've beaten the teams they're supposed to. They have not played up well. And then the other team that I wrote down is Houston. I just don't see any real threat. St. Mary's in a slow versus slow game against Houston's athleticism doesn't seem like a huge problem to me. A&M, maybe, one day scout with the weird style could factor into that, and we'll get into that, of course. But I think Houston will be able to slow them down. They do this to teams in the past. And then Illinois in the Sweet 16, if Illinois gets through there, which I think they will, seems pretty easy for them to me, just because Houston has guards that are athletic and quick and can break you down off the dribble. Any others from this that you guys have?
Illinois Houston's an interesting matchup to me. Just kind of simply because Illinois kind of goads you into the they kind of goad you into the same shots that Houston is taking when they're not playing good offense, just the mid-rangers and the drop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Houston's got an easier path. Michigan State's got an easier path. Duke has an incredibly difficult path. I compared the Duke path to the Arizona path in 2022. You start with a physical TCU team, then you got to play a Hall of Fame coach, then you got to play a Hall of Fame coach, then you may have to play a 1 seed or a Hall of Fame coach in the Final Four.
I think Michigan has a pretty favorable path because, well, first of all, that Georgia-St. Louis game is going to be awesome. That is going to be really fun to watch. I think whoever wins that game
will get a stop.
Yeah.
I think whoever wins that game is going to be in for a rude awakening against Michigan.
Oh, UMBC makes it a 2-point game with 40 seconds left.
Really? I thought they left their legs on the plane or the bus. That's what their coach was saying, towards the end of the first half.
Well, they're only down by 2.
Wow. Howard controlled that game pretty well. I guess until now.
Yeah, and UMBC can probably play out this possession now.
Huh, nice. My takeaway from watching that game is that neither of those teams are going to give Michigan good push.
Speaking to the easy path.
Yeah. And then you get to the Sweet 16, you probably either face Alabama, who is not great defensively and could be without, I don't know what the near or long-term future of Aiden Holloway is going to be, but they could be without him, or a JT Toppin-less Texas Tech team. And if it's not them, then it's either Akron or Hofstra, who they've been like the upset darlings so far, and both of them are really cool stories, but I think Michigan can get to the Elite Eight pretty easily.
Yeah, Michigan, you're looking at a team in the second round that doesn't defend super well. And it seems at this point, somewhat likely that you're going to be playing a team in the Sweet 16 that's shorthanded. And against Michigan, I don't think you can be shorthanded just because they have so many bodies inside to throw at you, especially if it's Texas Tech without Toppin. What are either Texas Tech or Alabama going to have to shoot from three to make that even a competitive game?
I think they're going to get both of those teams would get dominated inside against Michigan.
I think so too. Yeah, Michigan's the easiest.
Going to get dominated inside by Michigan in that region for the most part.
Yeah, Michigan to me is the easiest path for a 1 seed. I think it's Houston for the 2 seed line. Other, top lines we can, I think you can sort of debate either way, but that's where it's a little tougher because, those teams are not as good, more flawed once you get, down the list, and it becomes tougher. You're just, playing matchups from round to round.
Bang! UNC Wilmington. They're up by 1.
Yale, right? They're playing Yale?
Yeah, Christian May for 3, 68-67 Seahawks.
Yeah. Michigan State I simply pointed out because I just think that region is tough, and they'll have, maybe the most favorable matchup, especially since we don't really know Duke's health status. And
Offensive foul.
Ohio State and TCU both pose very interesting matchups. Howard just scored, by the way. So 11 seconds left. They're up 4. All right. Rule number 3. When having a tough time deciding on a game, ask yourself how big the coaching gap is. And I wrote down this here specifically scouting and in-game coaching, because obviously, recruiting, other aspects may not have.
And also just schematics in general.
Yes. Quentin, I'll start with you here. What do you have for this one?
I immediately went to all of the Hall of Fame coaches in the East bracket. Just when talking about coaching, it is kind of unbelievable that all of those guys are in the same region together. Whether there's going to be a major coaching mismatch or not, I actually wasn't too sure about this. So I'll actually let you guys start, and I will simply just leech off of what you have to say.
So Sam, I was going through this today, and I had an epiphany, sort of, and it's something that we've talked about before, but I've never really applied it to this rule. Coaches that are checked out because they're taking a different job. It happened a couple years ago with Ed Cooley at Providence.
Happened with Kevin Willard.
And it happened with Kevin Willard last year.
Do you think this is a Brian Hodgson thing?
Brian Hodgson's the one name I wrote down. But I cannot see an 11 seed that, is talented and has had a great year like that.
I think there's a difference between a high major established coach taking a different job and a 38-year-old up-and-comer in his first tournament.
Agreed.
Playing a home game.
Yeah, Willard was completely checked out last year, and it showed in the Sweet 16 when those rumors really started to pick up. So the other ones I wrote down just for the first round off of this, and we can get deeper into the bracket if we want to for this. Ohio State, TCU in the first round, depending on what you think of Jamie Dixon. I'm personally very high on him. Diebler has had a lot of questions, has been on the hot seat, probably avoids the firing now that he has made the tournament and they finished the season well. And this next one I think is debatable. UNC VCU, we don't have a ton of sample size about Phil Martelli, but this is, not a great in-game, well-coached UNC team. Like they did not make adjustments well against Clemson. There were a couple other games this year where I really didn't think they adjusted well, and that was when they were healthy. So, historical examples I have for this: 2021 Iowa versus Oregon, 2023 Memphis versus FAU. That is the one that probably hurts me the most from this rule. 2022 LSU with interim head coach Kevin Nickelberry against Iowa State. And then 2025, we get Penny Hardaway once again against Colorado State. So this is, sort of the Penny Hardaway rule, but it applies elsewhere for sure.
Yes.
Mike White, Josh Schertz, Sam, another.
That to me is the number one. Mike White, Josh Schertz, Ben McCollum, Brad Brownell.
Okay. I know Brownell gave us a pretty sour taste after last year. But I'm not that low on him.
I just think McCollum's that good. Like, I would be mad if I bet against McCollum and lost.
So later,
and Jamie Dixon, Jake Diebler.
Yeah, that's one of the other ones. I'm picking Ohio State. I think in this game, I keep switching in my mind, but I think I'll end up settling on Ohio State. That's a tough one. Like, because Diebler's obviously very inexperienced. This is his first NCAA tournament as a head coach. Jamie Dixon has coached in plenty of big games throughout his long career. I don't have like any other specific ones. Harrison Vatnick pointed out to me today that people are way too like confident in a team coached by John Calipari, and I am absolutely guilty of that.
You've been talking about this all year.
So if they lose,
no, Howard wins.
Hey, NCAA tournament unit for the MEAC, right?
Yes.
That's the benefit of playing in these games. So here's what I'll say. If Arkansas goes down here against Hawaii in the first round, and if they lose to Wisconsin in the second round, Wisconsin's good, no big deal. If they lose to Hawaii in the first round, I don't, think it's entirely a coaching gap thing, but it would crush me. It would. So, Quentin, you have any other ones later in the bracket, first round?
No, McCollum, I will say, is a good shout because I watched Drake just schematically destroy Mizzou last year in Wichita. So I think that's definitely a huge advantage for them over Clemson. Honestly, as we get later in the bracket, it's just really hard to predict. So
yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find bad coaches later in the bracket.
Yeah,
like, not saying they can't get there. Like Kevin Keats, I thought was terrible, and he got to a Final Four 2 years ago. But nobody saw that coming, and it's hard to talk about that now when you don't think that's going to happen, for sure. Let's go to Rule 4. Don't you dare pick mid-majors to win against teams with a ton of length and athleticism. Examples I have: late 2010s Florida State, 2022 Vermont versus Arkansas, 2023 Charleston San Diego State, and the one I added from last year, 2025 Maryland versus Grand Canyon. That was a Grand Canyon team that was an athletic mid-major, but Maryland's length and athleticism still absolutely crushed them. From this year.
To me, can I just start?
Yeah, go, Sam.
To me, this rule isn't necessarily the length and athleticism rule, but it's the pace and math ball rule.
Yeah, more possessions, harder to win.
The more possessions, the more talent wins out. The more math ball, the more the talent wins out. And because you really need to skew the math in your favor if you're a mid-major in games like this. And to me, that makes Alabama pretty much unupsettable. I know
Alabama is the first team I write down every single year for this.
I know that they don't have Aiden Holloway, but I think that makes it really, really difficult for Hofstra, which is a slow-paced team, is a great defensive team, is talented. I do not see them lasting 72 possessions with Alabama.
Alabama against mid-majors under Nate Oates beat Iona 15 seed by 13. Game was close at halftime, to be fair to them. 2023, they're a one seed. They beat Corpus Christi. 2024, Charleston, the first round.
They were up 30.
109. Game wasn't close. Second round, Grand Canyon beat them by 11. Game was close for a while. And then last year,
that GCU team was a top 50 KenPom team.
Yeah, this to me, Alabama's athleticism and size with Sherrell inside does enough here to push them over the edge against Hofstra, even without Holloway. The other teams I have written down, Arkansas, Kansas, I think is a really athletic, not tall team, but plays bigger than their size at a lot of positions. And St. John's, who obviously is immensely athletic, and that is a lot of the times how they win games.
The inverse of this rule is why I thought Bryant had a chance against Michigan State last year.
Yeah.
Is because Bryant actually had some size and athleticism to where I didn't think they would get squashed. Michigan State obviously pulled away in the end, but that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this rule.
Yeah, Bryant was down 5, I think, at half.
Yeah, no, they were keeping it competitive for a while.
Michigan State pulled away in the final 10 minutes for good. But that margin definitely doesn't do justice to how the game was actually played.
Yeah.
But I think the other inverse, I guess, of this rule is a game that Sam got on me a couple years ago. Sam, do you know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
St. Mary's, Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, yes.
Even though St. Mary's, I guess, technically is a mid-major. They just, were seated like a typical high major would be. And Grand Canyon's athleticism got the best of them. So we'll see with that one. Rule 5. Sam, you and I talked about this last Friday. I forget which, but write down a list of teams you think are.
By the way, do you have the Bible right now?
Pulled up.
Could you send it to me? Yeah.
I thought I shared it with you.
Sam, have you been winging it this whole time?
Yes.
Good listener. I just shared it with you. So.
Wow.
There were 2 users on it when I pulled it up, so I figured the other one was you. So
I found it.
Somebody's looking at it.
Jonathan, the other person was me. It's you and
me. No. I mean, there were 2 other, when you go on Google Docs and you see the people in the top, there were 2 other people there in addition to me being on. So I did send it to some other people. So it's possible. So write down a list of teams you think are seated too high and too low and what they really should be, and keep it next to you while filling out your bracket, not filing out your bracket. So here's what I have. Too high, Purdue. I think they're a 2 seed. I think they've played like a 4-5 seed at best in the last month or so. Villanova, they are an 8 seed. I legitimately don't think they're a tournament caliber team. So,
not without Matt Hodge.
They have been awful, especially since Hodge has won out. Georgia, don't think they've played like a tournament caliber team as an 8 seed in the last month or so. And then the last one I have for too high, BYU has played like a top 45 team without Richie Saunders and is a 6 seed. I think they're probably really close to the playing team that they will play on Thursday, whoever wins this Texas.
Okay, so I am going to go here, and I'm going to say teams that I think are seated too high. Villanova, BYU, Purdue, Nebraska, and that's probably
Nebraska's another good one. Them getting knocked all the way to a 4, though, push them off.
Yeah, and then I think for underseeded, St. John's.
Okay, one I considered.
Definitely I'd have on there. Considering Vanderbilt with Duke Miles, potentially. Wisconsin, to me, has been playing like a 3 seed recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to clarify, this is not who do we think got too low of a seed based on their resume. That's just who got too high and too low of a seed based on like how good we think they are. Not anything to
And
do with resume.
a bunch of like really lower seeds. Siena, UMBC, who I
Yeah.
guess just lost. But those teams, Tennessee State's been playing really, really, really well. I think this is the best crop of 16 seeds, aside from Lehigh Prairie View, which I will be sitting for.
Yeah.
This is the best crop of 16 seeds in a while.
So here's the ones I have for too low, and then I'll give Quentin the floor here to discuss some of them. I have 3 written down. St. John's is not one of them, even though they were considered. UCLA is a 7 seed. I think if Bodo and Dent are healthy, they're a 5-4 seed caliber team at this point. Vandy has been playing extremely well with Duke Miles in the lineup. I was a little lower than Sam on them at the start of the season. Sam was absolutely right about how good they could be. And I forgot to add a 4th. Ohio State I have on here. They have been playing like a top 15-ish caliber team for a month now. I think it's a tough draw for Duke in the second round if they were to get through. And then Miami, Florida, they, I think, have really turned a corner. Didn't play a strong schedule early in the season, so nobody was really taking notice of them. But I think the defense is playing at a pretty exceptional level. They have a real point guard that can facilitate and make outside shots. And I think Malik Renew causes just a nightmare matchup for a lot of different teams.
Celiscar for the win. No good.
UNC Wilmington?
UNC Wilmington goes to New Haven, eats some pizza, and beats Yale.
Did they eat pizza?
They should have.
They will. They probably will now.
Yeah.
If not before,
they will now.
I had, for underseeded team, I had Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
That was what was getting a lot of the national media folks. And then for overseeded, it sucks because 3 of their top 4 scorers are from the District, Maryland, and Virginia. And their leading scorer went to high school about a 5-minute walk from my house. But Villanova is definitely not an 8 seed.
Yeah. They weren't bad at the start of the year. I was impressed with them in non-con for the most part, but the Hodge injury, I think, killed them. And Caden Lewis, as good as he has been, isn't the level of a freshman point guard that completely eliminates my fear of him having a stinker in a game for them. So yeah, that tough break for Nova towards the end of the season. I think there was a point where they were a 5-6 seed playing at a pretty high level, but couldn't beat any of the elite teams in the Big East, and then the injury bug hit them. All right, Rule 6, another one of my favorite rules. This is probably in my top 3, I think, of the favorites here. So don't sell yourself on players, sell yourself on teams. And then 6A, don't convince yourself that Star has a good supporting cast around him in the last 2 weeks before Selection Sunday. So here's my examples for this. 2021 Oklahoma State, 2022 Wisconsin, 2023 Purdue. Those teams were led by Cade Cunningham, Johnny Davis, and Zach Edey. This was the Edey team before everyone else got good. And the freshman guards were struggling down the stretch. I was in love with Cade Cunningham, man. I don't think I had them going past the Sweet 16, but that Oregon State loss was just brutal.
I will never forget the period of time where Johnny Davis was a top 10 draft prospect.
Yeah.
He was a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could not believe that.
My uncle's a huge Wisconsin basketball fan, and he said that was the biggest smoke and mirrors team of all time.
They finished 37th, I think, in Ken Palm. One spot below Murray State at 36. 2 spots below Wake Forest. 3 spots below Oklahoma State. Wake Forest and Oklahoma State outright missed the tournament, and so did Texas A&M, who was above them as well. So, there were multiple non-30 teams that finished above them. Granted, Chucky Hepburn got hurt in the second round, and he was a key part of their, defense, which was the better unit of their team. But that offense was an inefficient guard that couldn't shoot and wasn't like a great playmaker either, outside of like getting to the rim for himself. So like, yeah, this team getting a 3 seed was like total. Like I didn't fall for that. I don't know, if I don't know how many people did, but like that I mean, Sam and I talk about that as the worst region in NCAA tournament history. So somebody had to win it. This year,
2024 West region is right up there.
The region that Bama won to get to the final. Yeah. So some examples I have this year. BYU is the easiest one on the board here.
Especially because their best player. It's the second best player.
We love Richie Saunders, but I said this the other day. AJ Demansa has been playing his best basketball since Richie Saunders got hurt, and BYU is way worse as a team. That's it, since he got hurt. So that's something I noted. Another one of these is Texas Tech, who I really think has become sort of a one-man show without JT Toppin. Like Atwell does some nice things. They have other ways, to score, but they really just have become this like get threes up, trying to beat you from outside team without Toppin. Very rare that I put mid-majors on this, especially like auto bid mid-majors, but Cal Baptist has one
Cal
player.
Baptist has become this. I've seen like 6 tweets about Dominique Daniels.
I have not seen one other player on that team mentioned this week.
I said on Saturday night that I'd never heard of any other players on that team.
They are on here. Iowa is on here with Bennett Sturts. I think, it's more complicated than that in that Clemson game. So I wouldn't just make the pick based off that. And then I wrote a couple question marks down. Tennessee and Ohio State. Like, I think, like, Nate Ament has become the alpha for that team. And, like, every time I feel like I watch Tennessee, and this may be just selective bias, I don't feel like Jacoby Gillespie has been, like, exceptional this year like he was at Maryland last year. And like that gets into some of the supporting cast stuff. Ohio State, like with Thornton, who's been just unbelievable this year, and like glad he got his NCAA tournament appearance. Like Mobley, Royal, like those are the 2 other guys. Maybe Bynum. Like you have to like talk yourself into those guys being good if you believe in this Ohio State team, I think. And stretches they have been.
Yeah. I think number 1, obviously BYU, but Ohio State, man, this is a team that throughout the year, people were literally saying they better make the NCAA tournament just because I want to watch Bruce Thornton.
Yeah.
NCAA tournament. Like that was a thing people were saying.
We were talking, I think at one point, Sam, about how like like when they were on the bubble and we didn't know whether they were going to make it or not. We were talking about like, could Bruce Thornton be the best 4-year player to never make an NCAA tournament? Like that was, I thought that was.
And I'm gonna have one that you're gonna get mad at from me.
Yeah,
Dude. Arkansas.
Yes.
Okay, I believe in Malik Thomas a little more than you.
It's more just like, I mean, it's not that I think they have a bad supporting cast. It's more just like you are really going all out in a year where this top of the sport is really good. I love Darius Acuff. I think he's one of the best players in the country. I voted him first team All-America. But let's not act like he can go out there and win 4 games in a row, 3 games in a row for them.
They're not beating Wisconsin with him scoring, 25, 30 points. Like they're going to need other guys because Wisconsin's going to score if those two teams meet. Like somebody else is going to step up. And Malik Thomas, I think, has been really good for them all year. But I totally see where you're coming from.
I was going to put out a feeler to you two for if Arkansas qualified for this, but I'm glad Sam opened the gates.
Yeah, I think you certainly can't argue it. Not going to deny that one bit.
Yeah. I mean, look, from a neutral basketball watching perspective, watching Darius Acuff Jr. for as long as possible in the tournament is going to be great. I just don't know if that's going to be super conducive to team success. Then again, he just dropped 37 and Arkansas won the SEC tournament. So
one
know.
thing Sam said to me on, I think Sunday, Sam, you said this to me when we first talked. You asked me, like in this, you made this specifically about Arizona, but I think it can apply to, a second round game or maybe even a first round game too. Arkansas needs Darius Acuff to score 25, 30 to beat anyone good. They do. Like, unless, we get a, random Malik Thomas, not random, but like a random game from Billy Richmond, some Brazil, somebody else on that team. What I'm trying to really say here is like Arkansas, if Acuff plays bad, Arkansas's not beating anyone good. Versus like, there are other superstars that if they play bad, their teams can survive that. So, for example, Duke beat a top 15-ish Virginia team with Cam Boozer going 3 of 17. So, like, it's obviously Duke's on a different level than this Arkansas team. But yeah, it's a good call. Not one I had thought about, and that's why we're doing the show. So, number 7, defense wins championships, but offense gets you there. This is basically, and I think, Sam, I've said this to you before, it's easier to be 2024 Alabama than it is to be 2017 South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't really see. Honestly, like, I don't think this is going to be as much of a thing this year because I think the best teams are the best teams.
Yeah, we don't really have a,
we don't really have like
we
don't really have like a 2024 North Carolina that Alabama team wound up beating.
Yeah, and the other thing is like some of these top teams, like we don't really have like a 2022 Purdue that was like a top 5 offense and barely top 100 defense.
Yeah.
Like
all right.
We
I would
a
honestly move on.
A lot of those teams that are like, up in that range. Quentin, if you have any, please go ahead.
I mean, I was maybe thinking about Alabama this year again, but yeah, I don't think like most of the top teams are pretty complete. I would say they're not terrible on one end or the other,
and none of these like you can just scroll. None of these teams like in the 20 to.
But can I also say I think Purdue and Illinois are worse defenses than their metrics indicate.
Yeah, for sure. I think, but if you're looking for like a lower seed, to make the Final Four or something like that, you go from 20 to 39 here on Ken Palm with NCAA tournament teams. Outside of like Texas, there's no team that really like completely stands out on one end of the ball. Like South Carolina was a legit like top 10, top 5 defense when they made the Final Four. Alabama was a
top 3. They were number 3.
Yeah, Alabama, I think, finished like second in offense when they made the Final Four. So like we just don't have a lot of those teams this year, in my opinion. So don't want to force anything. We'll go to Rule 8. You're better off betting against the conference than on one. This was really prevalent with the SEC last year when I did this show, and they obviously had a great tournament, contrary to what people said after Mississippi State lost to Baylor in the opening round. This is the Big 12, I guess. Like, this is the discussion. The Big 12, despite what Ken Palm says, has the most quality teams at the top. The SEC didn't really have anyone truly bad, except for South Carolina. Like the Big 12 does. Like the Big 12 has Kansas State, who was really bad, Utah, who was really bad. Even like, Colorado and Arizona State were like not great. But I think the debate here is like, how many of these elite Big 12 teams do we, truly think can get deep in the tournament?
I'm kind of in on fading the SEC.
Yeah, I know you are.
Obviously not necessarily Florida, but basically everyone else.
So I think this becomes a little easier with Texas Tech not having JT Toppin because it sort of takes out
I don't know, because now Alabama doesn't have Aiden Holloway.
It sort of takes out at least the threat of Texas Tech being a national title contender.
Yes.
Which I think people thought. Like, but I've seen brackets that have had Arizona, Houston, Iowa State all in the Final Four. I have 2 Big 12 teams meeting in the title game in Arizona and Houston. So I'm trying to, damper expectations here. But I think Texas Tech certainly made this easier to to evaluate in a normal way versus like Big 12.
Oh, we have an Auburn player named Keyshawn who did not show up for practice on Monday.
Not Keyshawn Hall.
Keyshawn Murphy.
Oh, there you go. You were wrong.
We were close.
Close enough. So, yeah, I think this... I don't really know if there's like a conference that you want to bet against. This is a lot of the times the Big Ten, who will have, a lot of top seeds. And we obviously know they haven't won a national championship since 2000. I think 2000 exactly, when Michigan State did it.
Well, 2002 if you consider Maryland.
Nope. That was the ACC's title.
Correct, it was.
That was the ACC's title.
Thank you, Jonathan, for restoring order.
Yeah.
Right there. I appreciate that.
You're right. It was the ACC's title.
Project Make the ACC Great Again has had a very successful year.
By the way, how in are we on the ACC in this tournament?
It's tough for me. I'd tried to watch everything with a very open mind when I was in Charlotte last week. I have every assuming NC State wins tonight, I have every ACC team winning their first round game, which I think is pretty unlikely. Just looking at it from a broader perspective. But I have 2 ACC teams in the Elite Eight. I have Louisville out early, North Carolina out in the first weekend, Clemson out after they beat Iowa. Like Virginia, I think Sweet 16 is a fairly normal expectation for them. Miami is really the only one that I took like a huge risk on.
Yeah, outside of Duke, I think you run into a lot of issues because SMU has been free falling. North Carolina is without its best player. You mentioned Miami. Them and Mizzou, they're like mirror images of each other. And so that's a toss-up. And then after that, I don't know. The last time Miami was in the 7-10 slot, they almost made the Final Four. Well, almost as in they made the Elite Eight and led Kansas at halftime.
They did lead at halftime. What happened in the second half in that game is one of the most remarkable things I've seen in a basketball game.
That was awful. That was so bad. And then Clemson, no. Louisville, is Mikael Brown playing? What's up? Like,
we
what's
don't
the
know.
deal?
I kind of assume that he will be. The sources, and by sources I mean me that was sitting behind the Louisville bench at the ACC tournament last week. He was standing for the entire game against Virginia.
Standing?
Yes, he was standing for the entire
Cole Adams, baby.
So I texted Cole about that. I think I sent it in our group chat, Sam. I said, Mikael Brown has legit not sat down all game. And there was a scooter right next to him. So he was standing right next to Pat Kelsey's kid. So, yeah. I don't think this is I haven't added an example to this past 2021. 2019.
The Mountain West.
Yes. One bid Mountain West this year, so we don't really have anything to go off. This would be the 2024 Mountain West, Sam?
Something like that.
That we go off of. I mean, 2022, I don't think they had a great year either, right? Boise State lost in the opening round. Colorado State lost in the opening round.
2023, it was San Diego State. This is their only team that
San Diego State was in the title game, and they were the only team that won a game, right?
Something like that. All right. You want to move on?
All right. Yeah. Rule 9. Beware of teams you like matching up early and on one-day scouts with unique teams. So the previous examples I have of this are Press Virginia, obviously not a thing anymore. Syracuse Zone, obviously not a thing anymore. And Alabama Math Ball.
Alabama is a big one. For me here,
Alabama applies to a lot of these rules every year.
Yeah, I would also go with I think if St. Mary's were like a little more athletic, they would be like a shoe-in for this rule every year.
Speaking of St. Mary's, by the way, the team they're playing, Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Texas A&M is definitely this.
And another team in that quad, I think
Nebraska is like kind of this. Like they don't ball screen and they don't allow anything at the rim.
That's a good point. So the other one I have down, actually have two more down. Utah State plays, they mix in a lot of zone. So
not quite as much this year.
You're right, not as much this year. But they do have it. So that's something that they could go to, mid game if they want to against Nova. The other one, and this isn't like, a style that is, unique or anything like that, like truly unique, but the way that Houston and the frequency that Houston blitzes and hedges ball screens is like not something that many other teams do.
Yep.
Is Hawaii going to no help against the best isolation scorer in the country?
I'm worried they will.
I mean, that's their thing.
That was the first thing my dad pointed out when this bracket came out when I was talking to him.
And High Point's just gonna allow everything.
I would love to get a prop on like Nick Boyd and John Blackwell to That's really good.
Oh man.
I would love to get a prop on John
PK,
Blackwell.
a wise man once said.
As a wise man once said?
Ben PK, the wise man.
Yeah, he is a wise man. I would love to get a prop on Blackwell and Boyd to like score 70 in that first round game combined against High Point. Like I think that's entirely possible. That High Point team does not defend anybody. So yeah, Hawaii no helping against Arkansas so it's kind of like the inverse of this, I guess. Like teams that are really easy to prepare for if you have the right personnel. I don't think I have anything else, Sam or Quentin, in this.
Okay, I have a Rule 10 team that we haven't mentioned.
This is my favorite rule. Can we go over this before we talk? Because you can produce some really unique answers if you try hard enough.
Go ahead.
So Rule 10 is don't fall in love with teams that would be satisfied with their season before the tournament begins. Quentin, last year, you and I sat here and went over this rule, and I gave you two teams. 2025 Louisville, who got blasted in the first round by Creighton, and St. John's, who got upset in the second round by Arkansas. This is my favorite rule. I haven't really given examples here of like where these rules have failed me before. This is the only rule that has never failed me.
2023 Kansas State.
Yes, that is the one that has failed me, and I absolutely despise that team because of it.
Okay, Jonathan, can I give you a couple?
Yes.
Nebraska.
They're my first team on the list.
Villanova.
Why Villanova? Was the Neptune experiment really that bad that like
they're back in the tournament? They're hurt. Like this is kind of what it's building to.
I think this is like the comparison to the Louisville team from last year, but like Louisville had actual real momentum going into the tournament.
Okay. I've got more. Virginia.
Yeah.
That's the one I fear.
That's totally one.
And then again, Miami, Ohio.
Can I throw out another one that I'm like really worried about because I've never considered picking their opponent to win their first round game?
Go.
St. Louis.
I was just about to say SLU. Oh man,
Yeah,
gonna like here,
but like coaching mismatch.
I know there's so many things that go against like picking Georgia here, but like some smart people that I follow, like read their articles and read their content, they're picking Georgia, like, and Quentin, you had that down, like.
Was Nebraska's end to its season bad enough to where they aren't satisfied anymore?
That's what I'm worried about. And like I have them beating Troy because I just think it's a bad stylistic matchup for Troy. But like one of the other teams I have written down here is Vanderbilt, and they're in the same quad.
Yeah.
So somebody has to win it. Maybe I'm just talking myself in circles here, and McNeese will end up coming out of this quad.
No, because McNeese, their thing is ball pressure up top, and Vanderbilt's. Yeah. I think they're gonna.
Yeah, Vandy takes care of the ball.
Yeah, they'll be okay.
Yeah. Rule 11.
Yeah, let's go to Rule 11. Everyone's a choker until they aren't. This is
Shire.
Tony Bennett, Matt Painter, Scott Drew,
John Shire, Tommy Lloyd.
How is John Shire being labeled as a choker? He's in his 4th season.
Because people think he's a choker. He's not a choker. People think he's a choker.
Okay, that's fair.
That's the whole point of this rule. There's no such thing as a choker.
That's right. That's right. You know what? You're right. And Tommy Lloyd was the first one I wrote down here.
Tommy Lloyd is probably the big one here to me.
Alvin?
I think that's different. I don't think people regard him as a choker.
Teams aren't chokers. Like coaches get the label. Like certain teams, in the moment can get it. Like that Duke team certainly did last year, but it's coaches that get this label.
Well, yeah, because teams in college, the personnel turnover is constant, especially nowadays. And the one thing that usually is constant more than anything is the coach. Obviously, yeah, you can label professional teams because they're usually intact for a lot longer.
Also, Rick Barnes.
Yeah, I didn't even think about him because it's just so obvious.
You also have to understand where certain teams come from.
I'll tell you one that I did not write down for this, Sam and Quentin. You guys can jump in if you think I'm wrong. He doesn't have this label yet, but if they don't make the second weekend this year and really don't make the Elite Eight with the path they have, this coach could get the label coming into next year, and that's TJ Otzelberger.
Interesting.
They are at the point where they're consistently.
They made the second weekend in his first year,
and they made it one other time. So,
and it's year 5.
Again, I don't think he's a choker, but if he goes, 5 years with not four elite teams, but 3 pretty elite teams and an additional team that made the Sweet 16 and set precedent, and we're in year 5 and he has cycled through Jefferson, Lipsy, Momchilovich, all these players, and doesn't have an Elite 8 to show for. I think that label will start to pop up with him.
Okay, I think that's bullshit.
Okay.
Oh, we're getting the explicit label on this episode.
Let's go.
Only took us 55 minutes. Well done, boys.
I don't agree with it, but I think he's going to get this label if they fail to make the Sweet 16 and maybe Elite 8.
Fine.
Everyone hates Dusty May now, and if he might get this label if they don't.
Who hates Dusty May?
Dude, every Big Ten fan I know hates Dusty May.
He took Florida Atlantic University to the Final Four.
Yeah, and he choked. They blew a 10-point lead.
Jonathan, I don't know what circles you're in. Clearly, a lot of people are not a part of these.
Every Big Ten Twitter thing I read is Dusty May is awful.
They hate Dusty May because they can't beat him.
He is in reference to in reference to something in one of the region names that me and Harrison Babnick came up with for this year.
Huh.
And it does not have a positive connotation.
By the way, are we going to do the region names on the air?
When Harrison comes on tomorrow night, what's one of the things we'll do?
All right.
Because we have.
He comes on at the end, right?
He comes on at the end, and we do Dan's bracket.
And he names himself after his favorite player.
We do Dan's bracket. He comes on and names himself after a white guy that plays for a mid-major. We do. Sam, you probably
could reasonably mistake him for having joining the pod.
Yes, Sam, you probably forgot about this. We do the all March Madness highlights team.
I did not forget about that.
Okay, yeah,
that's one of my all-time favorite things.
And then we'll add that on top of it. So for tomorrow,
that's like a 30-minute cameo.
Choker rule, not one of my favorite, but one that I think it needs to be said, because especially now we're in an era where a lot of legendary coaches are retiring or have retired, and there's going to be new guys that win national titles. Todd Golden did it last year. He's obviously very young and didn't have a chance to get that label put on him yet. But like some of these younger guys, I think if they don't win one, like it's going to start to come. Like Oates absolutely could, within another couple elite teams. Otzelberger, I already said could. Like, not saying I agree with this at all, but like just gotta. That's why the rule's here. Rule 12. This is my second favorite rule, probably. With Rule 10 being the first one. You can allow yourself to be talked into big-time programs that underachieved. And Sam, I'm going to start on this one because I want to say one thing, and I've been thinking about it all day, and I can't get it out of my head. And I have to put it out there because there's good examples of this. I feel like time and time again, they have a tough first-round game. I'm not sure they're going to even win their first-round game. I think Kentucky can win the Midwest Regional. I have them losing to Iowa State in the second round. I think it's possible they can win.
I have them losing their first round game.
I know you do
right now, but like it's a $22 million roster. Like
$22 million roster. Like
if this isn't the definition of a Rule 12 team, then I don't know what is.
Okay, I'm gonna pull something up. 2022 UNC, and Sam, I want you to pull up.
Oh, I hated that team so much.
I want you to pull up 2024, or excuse me, this year's Kentucky team.
Okay.
What are the Denzel Aberdeen and Otege Owe 3-point shooting percentages from this year?
35.1 for Aberdeen, 33.6 for Owe.
Okay. Caleb Love and RJ Davis at the end of this year after the tournament were 36%, 36.7%. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think there's a world where a talented team gets good shooting luck and Aberdeen and Owe hit shots from the perimeter for 3 or 4 games and they beat teams. Like I think Moreno's been really good for them in the second half of the season, and like they have talent pretty much everywhere on this roster.
Can I throw out another suggestion?
Yeah.
UCLA.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What was that?
You never heard the song?
I mean, sure.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't know that singing cameos weren't appreciated on here. Sorry, gentlemen.
They're always appreciated. But usually it's Michael DeRosa that's doing them.
Very good. As long as UCLA is healthy, that's still kind of a question mark.
Right absolutely. I like that team if they're healthy.
Yeah, but if they are healthy, they are much better than a 7 seed.
So your historical examples for this outside of 2022 UNC, by the way, are 2021 UCLA, 2015 Michigan State, 2016 Syracuse. So this is not something that happens, every year. It's basically impossible for it to happen every year. But I think there, are a couple you can pick from here. The other one that I wouldn't be hesitant. I wouldn't pick this or anything like that. But NC State was discussed as a top 20-ish team by a lot of people, including myself and Sam, before the season, and they are down 6-2 right now against Texas. So it's a very good chance we finish this pod and they are blown out in this game. But they don't have the world's most difficult path if they play well. So I guess Louisville could be another one to this. They were somewhat underwhelming this year. Yeah, you never know. Well, no, I know Texas run, so forget everything I said about NC State. They're done. Game's analytically final. All right, Rule 13. Only got 7 more rules left, and some of these ones at the end are kind of quick. Rule 13. Before conference tournaments start, write down a list of teams you think can win the national championship. Sam, we did this on the pod on Saturday.
So, Jonathan, I've talked about this. I do this every year, where I start with my list of 30 teams or whatever at the beginning of the year, and I cross teams off. And it's a mental list. I don't write it. I don't actually write this down.
Not on a poster board.
And I should do it on a poster board next year. I cross teams off, and it is a very rigid process to get back on.
Yeah.
Florida got back on this year.
Florida had a tough non-con.
Florida, Arizona, Michigan, Duke. That's the only four.
Yeah, the 4-1 seeds. Quentin, was there anyone else for you besides?
No,
those
I
four?
just had I was actually talking to some friends earlier today, and I was like, I would be really surprised if it's not any of the 4-1 seeds. And that's not anything against the 2s or the 3s or anybody else.
For me, it's going to be something against the 2s and the 3s. They all have flaws.
Okay.
More flaws.
Well, it's also, I just think once again, the 1 seeds are at least especially Arizona, Michigan, Duke are just so much better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Even though the gap isn't as large as it was last year.
To be fair, in the last 15 years or so, we've had 4 non-1 seeds win the national title, and 3 of them have been UConn. So
I feel like 24 UConn was way higher than a 4 seed. They just went through a rough patch.
23 UConn.
December, January.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, they were way better.
Yeah, I know plenty of people that picked that team to get to the Final Four. Out of a tough region, in my opinion. The other one is 2016 Nova, who I think finished the year number 1 in Ken Pom and was basically snubbed from getting a 1 seed. Or, it was just a strong resume year for 1 seeds. I think is actually what it was. So, yeah, I think it's the 1 seeds. I have Houston playing in my national title game. I wouldn't, if someone proves me wrong, I think it's Houston.
I think it's Iowa State if someone proves me wrong.
Interesting. Okay. All right, Rule 14. It's perfectly fine to pick a somewhat lower seed to get to the Final Four, but make sure that team can win 4 games in a row first.
I don't know.
Do any teams apply to this?
Quentin, you start for this one.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm not sure anyone has a particularly strong case this year.
Maybe Vandy.
This is a good opportunity to talk about how the top of college basketball is once again really, really elite.
Okay, so can I give you 2 kind of maybes on here?
Yeah.
Vandy, St. John's.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'd throw UCLA into the mix too.
Okay.
But that's again a team that.
Can they win 4 in a row? They haven't won 4 in a row all season.
That's
Actually, they just did.
The question.
They won 4 in a row, but it included Rutgers. So
it is not super specific, the rule, but you have to add that can they win 4 in a row against pretty much 4 quality teams. You of course can get lucky. For example, 2022 UNC played St. Peter's in the Elite 8. That doesn't happen all the time. 2016 Syracuse, who reached the Final Four, they drew a 15 seed in the second round. So there's certainly a luck component to this, but you have to kind of assume that that team needs to beat 4 good teams in a row, because I don't know about you guys. I will never pick a 15 seed to beat a 2. I will never pick a 16 to beat a 1.
No, never. I picked the 14 to beat
I've picked the 14 seed before.
I picked the 14 to beat a 3 a couple years ago. Never again.
Montana State, right? Kansas State?
Montana State over K-State.
Jerome Tang just sticks with us, doesn't he? Yeah. I picked Colgate to beat Wisconsin, speaking of that 2022 Johnny Davis team. And they were close. They got really close.
It was Wisconsin's best 10 minutes of the season defensively.
Literally. Colgate could not get inside the lane.
I had Oakland over Kentucky until my bracket was due, and then I switched.
Ouch.
Yeah.
All right. 15 is kind of a pre-bracket take.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't predetermine your first round upsets before you see their matchup. So who are the mid majors? Who are the mid majors that everyone had been on?
Hofstra.
Okay, I'll say a weird one. What the hell is up with Troy? Where did this come from? Why is everyone in love with Troy all this
They
time?
shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and that's fun.
But they don't make 3-pointers.
They just shoot them. That's enough for people to be drawn
They
in.
have the
They
camel
make all
rudder.
of them?
Nobody else on that team makes shots.
The other one, and what's funny enough, my message around them has been the same all year. Akron is another one that like I think everyone has loved a lot this year, and many, including myself, had said that they were better than Miami, Ohio,
Which they are.
However, they are really small and like probably cannot beat even a Texas Tech team without their big man unless they shoot incredibly well.
Can I just say I think this Akron team is like significantly better than last year's. They are much stronger in the post, in my opinion.
I don't think anyone thought they were going to win last year, though. I guess some people did. Like that Arizona team wasn't foolproof.
Yeah, I guess they lost by 30. Maybe they. I think they lose by like 12, like 96-84 or something.
I expect Akron to hang in this game, but like
South Florida is 47th in Ken Palm. Like they are like right there.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to get enough stops. Let's go. Copeland. We're back within 3.
We are not. We are sitting for that game, by the way. I have the World Baseball Classic and the NIT on.
Quentin, do you have anything for this one?
Yeah, I wanted to throw out a feeler for Northern Iowa.
Okay. I think people have been on that since they won the Valley title.
Mm-hmm.
That like, they can beat someone.
I had somebody ask me today if Virginia still plays the pack line. And I said, if you want to pick a pack line team, pick Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa, like, I don't think, picking them is predetermining an upset. Like, this is a good draw for them. Like,
I guess this would actually be the inverse of the rule. When you see the matchup and you actually like the upset.
You got a good break here with them playing St. John's. Because I don't think they would beat Texas Tech. They shoot too well. I don't think they would beat Vandy. Those guards are too good. And I don't think they would beat Wisconsin. That team shoots too well, too. So
I think McNeese is a good one for this rule, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the one that I had. The other one that I had written down. So, let me go to Rule 6. Okay. I had one more. South Florida. What do we think?
For 15?
I just think they're really
predetermining.
Are they good? Are they too good for this rule?
Maybe, but like it would still, I guess, be an upset. It's like a 5.5 point spread. They might just be too good. You might be right.
Yeah, and also I'll toss in Hawaii too. I really wanted to pick them, and it's fun. Just not a great matchup.
Playing no help against Acuff and Blake Thomas seems like could be an issue.
Yeah.
All right, Rule 16. The teams you don't like. Don't pick a team just to go far because of the number next to their name.
Purdue.
So here's what I wrote. Here's what I wrote down for this one historically. 2022 Auburn. I absolutely despised that team and picked them to get to a Final Four, and I cannot believe I did that when it was so obvious.
I picked Creighton to go to that Final Four, and they would have done it if Kalkbrenner didn't get hurt.
Yeah, honestly, I believe that. Totally believe that. 2024 North Carolina. I picked that team to get to an Elite Eight. They only lost one round earlier, but I was pretty confident they weren't getting out of that region. Just didn't know who was. And then 2021 Kansas, like I picked that team to get to an Elite Eight. They got absolutely blasted by Evan Mobley's USC team in the second round. I've been pretty disciplined since the North Carolina one. And North Carolina wasn't even that bad. I've been pretty disciplined about this rule. Here's who I have, and this is obviously opinionated. Illinois I have in the Sweet 16. I think they got a good draw. I don't love them. I don't think their defense is all that great. I don't think their shot selection super great either, but they got a good draw, and I feel like I've had them pretty much read for a while now. Nebraska, have them losing in the second round. I think that's fine. And then Purdue, who I have losing in the second round as well. So
Miami to the Sweet 16.
Go one round further, pal. I think Jay can really coach.
All right, let's move on. Rule 17.
Sam, do you have anything for this?
Nope.
No? Quentin, you have anything?
Like St. John's burned me last year. So maybe them.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
outside
also
of them,
UConn, kind of. But like, I don't know if I don't like them or if I do like them. Like, I don't
They're
know.
so confusing to me. I wouldn't be surprised.
UConn to me is the most confusing team in the country.
Oh, nice. Texas is trying to fight people again.
Football team.
is Vocatitis in the middle of it?
He actually, I think, is on the bench right now, ironically.
Football
Wow.
team.
Yeah,
Just,
literally. 16-12, Texas.
All right.
16-12.
17.
17. The reason you want to pick a play-in team to win is more because of the first round opponent than it is play-in team. And this has not burned me since 2021 when I picked Michigan State to beat BYU, and then UCLA beat them and went to the freaking Final Four.
BYU
Sam,
button.
you
BYU
say
button. BYU button. BYU button.
the game that's on right now. I'm picking either of these teams to be BYU.
Neither of these teams are good at basketball.
No.
I hate both NC State and Texas. Whoever
This-
wins that game will smack BYU
You
around.
think smack? I think Texas is a better matchup just because they have a defender who is sort of ideal to put on Debanza with Dalen Swain. But yeah, I think both these teams beat BYU.
Honestly, just the bottom half of the West region is like, what the hell is going on? Like, there are a lot of possibilities here, I feel like. I know upsets were down last year, and they probably will be again this year. But I think this could get a little messy.
So the other historical, the examples that have served me right in the past couple of years on this, I was all set to go with Rutgers over Alabama in the first round, and Notre Dame got them in overtime. And I mean, luckily for me in my bracket, Javon Quinterly got hurt in the first minute of that game, and Notre Dame won. I think they could have won either way. And then 2023, I did think Pitt was going to win the play-in game. I would have had Mississippi State over Iowa State anyway. I just thought that Iowa State team was a total corpse by the end of the season and like was completely a dead man walking. All right, Rule 18, stop picking teams to win their second round game before they win their first. Sam, who are we doing this with this year? I feel like I'm too confident in some of these like 7, 10, 8, 9 games. And I'm not picking any 8, 9 teams to advance past the second round, but
Maybe Miami for me. Like I have thought so much more about that matchup with Purdue than the matchup with Mizzou. But that's really it.
I have not really, I have never really thought that like that game being in St. Louis is going to be a huge issue for Miami. And it very well could end up being. So that's my one oversight, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what exactly the fan split is for Miami Mizzou, because I want to go really, really high because it's 2 hours away from campus versus.
And Miami doesn't have fans anyway.
Not ones that show up to games.
Not
okay.
basketball fans.
I'll give them a pass. I'll give them a small pass
You're
for
a
football
Miami
because
fan.
I'll give them a small pass for football because it is a pain in the rear to get from campus to Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Can confirm have been there.
Watsco is like on campus.
Yes, Watsco is actually on the University of Miami's campus.
And they get some good crowds for basketball when they are good.
Yeah. Since that 2012-13 team, like whenever Miami's been good, they fill that place up. But I think they're going to be up against a lot of black and gold on Friday night. And I also have been thinking about whoever wins that game because I've been going back and forth on who's going to win that game since the bracket came out. And I probably will continue doing that until 9:00 Central when they tip off.
If Missouri wants to have a positive point differential at the Enterprise Center this year, they're going to need to win their first 2 round games by more than 37 points.
All right,
Correct.
Donovan.
That was an unfortunate road trip I took back in December.
That was one of the worst Mizzou basketball games I've ever seen.
Were you there?
Nope. I was back home in Maryland, and I was telling my friends who I was with, I was like, guys, can we please put the Mizzou game on the TV? And by the time we actually got to my buddy's house, it was already a bloodbath, and I ate it and knew it wasn't worth it. So I just watched on my phone and did not subject everybody else to the horrors that were unfolding in the Enterprise Center.
Salzman was in attendance, and I chatted with him before the game, and at some point, middle of the first half, he just started texting me, and from the press box, and it was literally like he was texting like somebody had died. Like it was that bad.
And then they, like 2 weeks later, they beat Florida and Kentucky back to back.
Yep.
What a strange team.
Well, again, one of those teams isn't good.
Mizzou weirdly,
and one of those teams can't win an SEC opener.
Mizzou weirdly gets up for bragging rights, like usually, like all the time.
All right, last one.
Last one. And this is not really anything we can go over specifically. It's just don't fall for the Vontae Mack theory. Like, don't guarantee anything.
This is kind of like Rule 18.
Yeah, a little bit. It's more general, I'd say. The one thing I think I've guaranteed is, like I've said multiple times this week, that I don't think there is a single team that can beat Houston in that bottom half of the South region, and I'm really ready to be wrong about that, because that's how this tournament works.
All right, Jonathan.
Quinn, do you have any? What?
Do I have to take us home?
You do, but I was going to give Quentin a chance to say any last words. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, I always appreciate the invite. I'll share because I figure I'm not going to be back on here before the tournament starts. I am aligned with Jonathan Lidskin for now in that I have Arizona over Houston in the national championship game. I think Arizona is the safest bet to win the national championship, even though they don't shoot a lot of three-pointers. They are just so good in so many ways. And if Houston had a little bit more depth, especially behind Tugler down low, I would maybe feel more confident about them actually winning the national title instead of getting there. But I feel safe right now with Arizona. That is subject to change by Thursday at 11:15 Central, though.
I'll say this 5 more times before we tip off on Thursday. It just feels like Arizona is more prepared than anyone else to play different styles, to play against different styles of basketball.
Yeah, they just have a lot going for them. And just with the tournament, again, I don't think there are going to be that many upsets similarly to last year, which sucks.
It does, but Sam, I haven't really talked about this with you, but I have a theory that the pendulum is going to swing the other way next year.
Because what's your Cliff's notes on why?
I think teams and coaches are starting to figure out that, like, retaining players is more important than anything else. The freshman class is not very good next year, so we won't have these like historic prospects like littered all over the sport. But mainly like the first one. So I think like with less like good players in the portal this year, I think it's going to be harder for, a really smart coach like Dusty May to go out and like build this like super team, that he figures out. Because the pieces just aren't going to be there for him to do it. Like, I think there still absolutely can be really good teams, and the portal and NIL don't exactly help, getting back to like a 2023 tournament, for instance. But I don't think that we're going to have these like plus 37, plus 38 net rating teams next year.
All right. I'll keep that in the back of my head, and we will talk another day. But once again, thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Quentin. Sam,
it's been a pleasure.
Sam, you're taking us home today.
If you came to hear about Tyler Self and where he's working, you came to the right place. If you came to hear about Mizzou's point differential in the Enterprise Center, you came to the right place. And if you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. This has been season 6, episode 97 of Brackets, Bubbles, and Bit Steelers. We will see you tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, for our final bracket breakdown, where we fill out our brackets in pen. Oh, Jonathan, who do you have winning the NIT?
UIC.
New Mexico. Quentin?
I'll go with the team who was spurned in Arch Madness. I'm going to roll with the Flames from the University of Illinois, Chicago.
Okay, so we've got 2 people riding with Kevin Devitt.
I will always pick a Valley team in the in the NIT because
All right.
there's zero consequence to me being wrong.
If you came to hear about the latest happenings with Caleb Grill, you came to the right place. Season 6, episode 97, Brackets, Bubbles, and Bidstillers. We will be back tomorrow night, 10 p.m., full bracket picks and full breakdown of the entire NCAA tournament. See you tomorrow. And Thursday night, by the way.